This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
Kilborn back with us. Lieber will join in about an hour, and one of Krager's favorite hockey analysts, Pat Micheletti, will join from the X at 5:45. Game 3 for your Minnesota Wild against Vegas tonight right here on the Fan. Texter asks a good question. Do you stay in touch with Paul Majors? Even though I think he moved to Palm Springs, didn't he?
He's in Palm Springs, and I haven't reached out to him. We did hang out for a while when he was in town. We went to Dan Tana's. One of the nicer guys, and I think we're safe to say one of the best-looking local anchors in history of television.
Yes.
Very smooth, great voice.
He was, he was the heartthrob of many women and many men, too. It's no question. I mean, Major's a good-looking man. Still is.
By the way, you're a trivia guy. I just looked it up. So Dave Loggins was the second cousin of Kenny Loggins.
Ah.
And then I looked up second cousin because not everyone knows what that is. That means you share great-grandparents, the children of your parents' first cousin. So they were second cousins because you're a trivia buff.
Some stuff I get into, and that was I think it's fair to say that's the first time I've heard that song, the song you ordered Guardsy to play, and the specific part of it as well, in I bet you 30 years. I'm serious. I mean, what are the odds?
So it came out in '74. I actually listened to it at Montana State. I don't know why. I don't listen to a lot of folk music. I like Wildfire by Michael Murphy.
Yes, right.
But I listen to jazz. You know what song I almost did as the play on because you would have loved it was Point Siena by Ahmad Jamal from the Pershing. Because I know your dad was a big Ahmad Jamal fan.
Jay was a massive Ahmad Jamal fan, and that's the song. I mean, when you think his name, that's definitely the song. That's the sort of song that calms me down. Something I occasionally need.
It's such a great song.
Yeah, it is a really good song, very subtle. All right, so let's get to some hardcore basketball analysis here. Come on. It's the pivot. Well, no, pivotal is usually game 5. But would you call this game 3 crucial? I mean, like a must-win situation for your favorite basketball team, the Timberwolves? How do we build this thing up for tomorrow night?
I'm going to call it crucial because I don't even think the refs haven't really come into play too much, in my opinion.
No.
I mean, I like that the Wolves accepted that before game 1. Okay, we're not going to get the calls. I do think that shot by Randall when he scored and then he actually hit LeBron in the face that should have counted. But I don't understand.
I actually do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, game 2 though, I think they got a little bit hung up and weren't smart on the fouls and even got hung up on the calls much less professionally than they did in game 1.
They didn't respond to the punch from the Lakers.
No.
I think listen, I'm concerned now about the series because of game 2. So I'm going to say yes to crucial game 3.
Get it right back, in other words.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't want a game 7 at all. I don't want a game 7. You're playing with fire, and I think you're going to get burned.
All right, so, I mean, this isn't that complicated, right? The Lakers have 3 legitimate scorers when it's going good for them, which it was the last quarter of the season. The Wolves, you could argue, have no third scorer on that same level. But again, the Wolves can come at you with about 4 or 5 more guys who on any given night can be effective. And so that again is what to me has to come into play here, right? You have to make them pay for your numbers, or you have a problem, don't you? You have to. So the supporting cast, as far as I'm concerned, has to be it must rebound even more than anybody else. I mean, Edwards didn't have a great game, but I'm not putting it that much on him, and I'm not going to put it that much on Conley because I think his minutes are going to be somewhat limited. For Guardsy and me, it's what we affectionately call the ant colony that has to rebound from a pretty dreadful game, too, because you have to beat them with your numbers, don't you?
You got to beat them with something. You can't get outshot. The Lakers shot like 44%. We shot 39%. You have to beat them in some categories. Mm-hmm. I think our defense obviously has to be better than theirs. But in that first quarter when they punched, I will criticize Ant a little bit. He hurt his shoulder on a pick. He didn't shoot enough. You got to keep it closer than it was. And it's just too hard to dig a hole against these guys. Jaden has to show up. All these guys, somebody has to show up beside a third and fourth guy. And I was really disappointed in Dante because of the foul trouble. He never got going.
No, he didn't.
And I will say, I made this observation before. I don't know how we play the Celtics so well because the Celtics have all this offense. They say it's because we're good individual defenders. Jaden McDaniels can't really bother Luka. There's nothing. So I think Luka is the key to the series. If he's going to be that good and it's that effortless for him to get to the line or score, everyone else can't take the night off. You got to have everybody playing.
Yep, absolutely,
as good as possible or more. You can't. There's not a lot of room for error against the Lakers because of Luka.
Are you worried about fan, I guess, communication with Luka? Because Luka loves that. We were talking about this earlier, that the best advice for Wolves fans is to not poke that bear, to not become, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him going. I got these sideline tickets, courtside tickets I've never had before, and I want to be the guy that Luka's talking to. I don't think you want to be that guy because Luka, he lives for that stuff.
Yeah, I actually heard somebody, an analyst, say prior to the series, you got to get Luka agitated. I think he was referring to the players, not the fans. And Jaden is doing some stuff, and like you said, I'm glad you brought up the Julius Randle body slam.
Yeah, I love that.
That was special.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what the fans should do. Yeah, Luka gets energized. He's owned us, obviously, and he concerns me. I just think we should trap him sometimes. I know he can pass, but don't you think it bothers me that they sit there with Rudy on the island, even though Rudy is doing a pretty good job. Mm-hmm. Just blitz him a little bit.
Well, I thought in game one they did that a little, but I'm with you. I think you got to. It's like with any great player, you mix it up, right? Just give him some different looks so he can't assume what's coming. And I do think too. Barkley made this point. I want to say maybe even been after game 2. Somewhere along the line, he said, look, I get, everybody revels and really gets excited about he's hunting for Rudy or whoever. And he says, you can get so consumed with that you stop running your offense. And I agree with that. I think there are limitations to how, I think it may actually play into the Wolves' hands a little bit if that's all the Lakers become consumed by.
Well, the problem is, I know what he's saying. It was because it's not an offensive flow, but Luka is the offense, so why not hunt Rudy all the time? What I was thinking about is I liked in game 1 that they would, set a pick so Luka was guarding Ant, and then one of the responses after game 1 was Luka was okay on defense, Reeves was bad. So maybe we do some picks where Reeves has to guard the Ant-Man. I do think we're going to have to come up with some strategies to mess with JJ Redick, who thinks he's so special. I love that. Yeah, that's right. He goes, "There's nothing they did. It was effort. Right. It was nothing they did."
Right. That was quite annoying. How about running a little bit? First game, they ran well. I think it was like 25-6 transition points, and it got. I think game 2, we had 6 points running. This offense, I do think sometimes gets bogged down half court. Run him. Yeah. Run these guys. Run Luka, man. We know he's not in shape. He's a hell of a player, but he ain't in shape. We know LeBron's 80, so run him.
Are we allowed to say fleshy? Is that a PC or not? Can we say fleshy?
I think
Luka?
Fleshy is the most PC way to put it, where you're less likely to get any kind of cancellation. Correct.
Zoftig.
Yeah.
So, you know how they had 2 games between each for games 1 and 2. 2 days.
No
2
accident
days.
there.
I know that. Well, LeBron had a nice conversation with Adam Silver before the whole series, but
same thing between 4 and 5. By the way, pivotal game 5. They get 2 days again.
2 days. The only series that gets 2 days this often.
Well, we got to win games 3 and 4 because they only have 1 day off. And yes, Dan, run on these guys.
Yep.
Absolutely. I just do think after that game, some observations were in some of these playoff games, they're hard to referee because everyone's bouncing off each other because it's so physical. And don't you think it's going to be, because the Wolves now are going to be very physical because they got punched in the face. I just don't want foul trouble for key players.
Smart. You got to be smart with your physicality. That's 100% true. The new debate that's broken out that doesn't just concern the Wolves, but is league-wide, is that the contrast between regular season officiating and postseason officiating has never been more stark than it is now, and that it's leaving people going, well, come on, man, we got to be one thing or the other. Are you as troubled by what now seems to be, because a lot of people, I think, like this style better because it does give defense a greater chance, but if it's that different than what they're accustomed to playing, is that a mistake? Is there too great a contrast? What do you make of that discussion?
It's a good question. I kind of like the physicality because I don't like ticky-tack fouls, and I do like trying to rough up Luka. So it's not bothering me, but I am laughing a little bit. I watched some of the Houston Warriors game last night, and it is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what's the guy's name? The pugilist on Houston. Dylan Brooks.
Yes.
Dylan Brooks.
Yes.
So these guys. So it's very entertaining. I just worry about a guy like Jaden McDaniels not being cerebral when it comes to hard fouls or little grabbing and pulling. He's pretty out there with it. It's pretty visual when he does it. So we gotta be smart about it.
Can I ask you a beautiful people question?
Yeah.
You have been to many games. What used to be Staples, what is it called now?
80% of them are implants, Dan. Is that what your question?
That's one of them that could have been.
Crypto.
I'm crypto now. So, the crowd in L.A., I've never felt, even back in the day at the Forum, I didn't think it was, it was a hostile crowd, obviously, to the opposition, but I never felt it was like an incredibly intense crowd. I assume the beautiful people quotient's even greater now than it might have been then. How many of the folks who show up on a regular basis to Lakers games know or care anything about the actual basketball?
That's a good question. I used to say that because I was here in the late 80s for the Showtime Lakers at the Forum, and the Forum was built differently.
Yes,
the acoustics were louder than crypto. I was fortunate to go to a championship game against the Pistons, and a championship game, and it was Michael Cooper hit a 3-pointer in the first quarter and the place exploded. I go, oh my God, these are the finals. It's intense. Crypto Staples is not as loud. I made fun of the fans. It's their God-given right to win the finals, and they save their best outfits for the finals. I'm going to wear this in the first round, this in the second round. Social event. So, yeah, a lot of them, the producers are bringing their beautiful girlfriends that they met earlier that day.
Right.
They're not, all those guys are probably Ant fans anyway. No, I'm just kidding. But
you couldn't help yourself, could you?
When I come to town, can I rent a Tesla, or is I'm not supposed to in Minneapolis? What's the story on a Tesla?
Do it at your own risk. I think it's a good way to say it at this point. I'd reconsider it, actually, if I were you. Where were we? Oh, another one for you. Do you have a working theory on why so many individuals, including players, current and former, seem to revel in the Rudy savagery?
Oh, my gosh.
What's that about? What's the cultural? I mean, what's causing that?
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's because he's French, and I'm not sure. He's not one of the American fellas. I don't know. But I think it's mainly because offensively, he's not polished enough.
Yeah, that's probably.
And the other thing is, a lot of people pointed out as the Lucas shot over him last year went viral, his block of LeBron that led to the Dante kick out to Nas in the corner in game 1 will not go viral. And the other thing is, he can play a great game and go 8 of 9 from the floor, but if the one miss is banging it off the board,
the bottom of the backboard,
yes,
yeah.
And, oh my God, he's such a klutz. Yeah. So he's an odd offensive player, and I think a lot of it has to do with that.
I think you're onto it. I think. By the way, we got a text earlier. Double T. That would be Trent Tucker, former Gopher. Great, you know the name. He is among those. He, by the way, before the playoffs started, he thought the Lakers were a great first-round matchup for the Wolves. And secondly, he says, yes, double Luka. He is a big believer in that. I tend to endorse most of what Double T has to say. He's a very outstanding basketball mind. And so you may be heartened by the fact that apparently it's been part of the conversation from Trent Tucker, too.
I guarded Trent in Summer League.
Successfully?
At Williams Arena. He averaged 45. It's true. He averaged 45 that summer. I held him to 38.
How did that happen?
He has a perfect form on his jump shot, by the way.
He does,
perfect form.
Well, how did that happen? Have you told us that story before?
No, I just was, he was playing Summer League. He was playing for the Knicks, I believe, at the time in the NBA. And, is that who he was playing? I think so. But man, he had a perfect jump shot.
Yeah.
He could shoot the lights out. Yeah. Oh, I have a story for you. I just remembered. I told this to Mike Honori and Dave McMenamin the other day. So
is this on the record?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my story and I can tell it.
All right.
Because it only hurts my writer friend. No. So when the great Flip Saunders invited me to Timberwolves training camp at St. Cloud back in 2003, 2004, I brought my head writer, Mike Gibbons, a.k.a. Gibby, and he was the head writer for the Tom Brady roast recently, very talented writer. And we were there. We didn't have a rent-a-car because we were only there a few days, and Fred Hoiberg drove me places and stuff. But Mike at the hotel had a massage, and he took off his wedding ring. And he lost his wedding ring. And he wasn't sure later, though, the next day, if it was at practice or the restaurant. He looked in the hotel. So a guy was driving us around, and I said he worked for the Wolves.
Right.
And I said, my friend here took his wedding ring off during a massage, and you got to help us. And the guy said, no problem. No worries. J.B. Bickerstaff.
Is that right?
He was working for the Wolves. I think he was doing radio at the time.
Well.
But
Guardsy's nodding his head.
It's just so funny. I'd love to see him and say, thanks for driving us around.
That's pretty good.
I don't know the story, but it is hilarious that he was the radio analyst on the 2004 calls with Chad Hartman and everybody else.
That's a good point.
He did shows with us all the time, and now he's revitalized Detroit. He's
done a nice job with the Pistons for sure. The Knicks might be in trouble.
I think they are. They don't use Cat enough.
No, In New York, in my view, Cat's getting too much of the blame. Look, as you know him well as a player. He can get lost on his own. But fourth quarter, and I've noticed this even during the season, as good a clutch player as Brunson is, and he just won the award, there are stretches where he never even considers looking at. You have to run some stuff for Towns. Otherwise, why even bother to make the acquisition in the first place?
It's on Brunson and Tibbs.
Yes.
And I can't stand when Tibbs says after a game, the ball will find the right player. The game dictates where the ball goes. No, Jalen Brunson dictates. He dribbles and looks for his shot.
Correct.
And these guys in Minnesota who didn't like Cat, I want to say we traded him. It's like Richard Nixon. You don't have me to kick around anymore. Quit kicking Cat around. He's so offensively talented. I know his idiosyncrasies are bothersome. But he's the left hand, the right hand. Give him the ball. Now, when he gets the ball and screws up, then I'll say he screwed up. But he doesn't even get the ball. They don't look for him enough. It's ridiculous.
He took his last shot in the last game of the series with 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. I mean, that's absurd. I mean, literally.
And the other thing is, for the Minnesota fans who didn't like Cat, be grateful he's that talented that we got Dante and Julius Randle and a draft pick because those guys are good.
All right, here's the last question for you. This is the big one because it may be hard to answer this because the story of the 2024-25 season has not yet been fully written. Nevertheless, I'm going to ask you, do you want Julius Randle to be part of the long-term solution here, or are you in the group that says, I hear the rumors, we know Durant's going to be traded, we also know he's old, but we know he can still score, we know Ant loves him, word on the street is that this is a destination that Durant would be fine with. So where are you on that? Because that's going to be the big off-season question. How aggressively does this team try to change the calculus again a little bit and bring in a pretty old guy in Kevin Durant and move on, say, thank you, Julius. It's in some ways worked better than we thought, but we got to move on and we got to go this other direction.
So I wasn't sure if the question was going to be, because early on I was listening and you said, if we advance to the second round and then lose, is it a successful season? That's a tough question. Do you want to keep Julius Randle? That's a tough question.
Yeah.
But this is an easy one for me. Dan Barrero, I don't want Kevin Durant.
Really?
I like him. He's too old. I don't want to give up everything we have to give up. Don't want him. That's me. I don't want him.
Interesting.
Did I make myself clear? I just don't. I told that to Mike Honore the other night. Don't want Durant. Don't want him.
And what did he say?
He didn't say anything.
It's probably privileged info, right?
He just had
he can't tamper
chicken parm or whatever.
See, well, again, you've hit on a key part of this. How much you have to give up. See, my new theory is you're not going to have to give up as much as you think. I don't think the demand is he's at a point where you're going to have to give up 3 players and 4 draft picks for him. And I think it's past that. I really do.
I just think I know he's unbelievable.
He can still score.
He's old, and he's kind of a sourpuss sometimes when it doesn't go
That's just on Twitter. Well, actually, with this coach, he had some issues with the coach too this last year. Yeah.
I just rather win a different way, Yeah. Don't want him.
So your pledge is you're not coming back even if there's a game 6. You won't be back for that, even though that it could be the chance for the Wolves to advance. But you will be here once the Wolves do advance to round 2. Maybe not against Golden State now, right? Because the Warriors, I haven't heard if there's a Butler injury update, but I can't believe the prognosis is very favorable for him.
Yeah, just as a traveling note, Kilby doesn't fly in for 1 game. I'll fly in for 2 games. So I'll fly in the second round if we're fortunate to advance. And I do like our team, Dan. I know we made that dramatic trade at the beginning of the year. I do like our team. I actually believe that we had a 52-point quarter at the end of the season. We had some big wins. It's weird because we play OKC well. Let's see how this Lakers series goes. I think it's going to be tough, though. I was really confident before Game 1, and then of course Game 1, and I said, we're such a better team. And then you pull way back, and it's going to be tough.
Are you worried about there was a new rumor I saw either earlier today or last night linking your guy, Tim Conley, with the Atlanta Hawks organization?
I actually read from somebody that he's going to I said today, I don't know who the guy was. They said he's going to re-sign with the Wolves, extend with the Wolves.
Extend with the Wolves.
Yeah.
Well, that could very well be.
By the way, you mentioned him. How about Jalen Clark? What a great draft pick.
Yeah. Nice looking player.
He pulled one out there because of the Achilles injury he dropped, and great defensive player. We need to tell ESPN and TNT if he's in the game, don't do a cutaway of who just scored. Stay on him. He's going to steal the inbound.
I liked what I saw, and that was because of foul trouble. Terrence Shannon impressed me this last game. Active as hell. I loved it.
Finchie put him in because he had 22 against the Lakers this year, and he needed somebody to be aggressive and attack the rim, and he did it. Yeah, I was pleased with his few minutes. He played well.
Last item via the text line, then we got to go. And this is probably a fair point being offered up by Dylan out of Northfield. Luka is going to have the mindset that he's being chirped at, whether he's being chirped at all. So we just have to be, as in the Wolves fans, suffocatingly loud. He's one of those guys, you're right. It's true. It's like with Jordan. He would invent enemies even if they didn't exist because that was how his mind tended to work. And it's the same. I mean, Luka is perfectly capable of lying to himself and saying, I could have sworn I heard that guy MF me in the second row, and I see him, even though he didn't say it. But when you're in that competitive mindset, you'll lie to yourself if it works for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's so gifted offensively, and we can't seem to slow him down. I wish we could get him in foul trouble. I wish we would attack him.
Has he ever been in foul trouble? Has Luka Doncic ever been in foul trouble? That's a great question. I bet you he hasn't. I don't think he's close enough.
The coach has never had to say to JJ, hey, Luka's got 4. Might want to get one for Luka.
That's it. I don't think. That's very true. All right. Well, thanks for the conversation. And we'll stay in touch. And we'll probably see you in round 2 if you continue to be as confident as you sound today. But I sense a little bit of wariness in your voice about this game 3.
I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, that's healthy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the teams. I did not want to play the Lakers, and then I calmed down and said we're deeper. But then after game 2, I'm just like, you got to bring it. It's just it's going to be hard, and you can't. We can go ice cold, so it's going to be a tough series.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's still quite doable. I don't think it's hard as it was when Luka's backcourt mate was Kyrie, and he had 3 big men that he could alley-oop to at any moment.
Yeah, we were. Just remember that I thought we exhaled after the Game 7 win against Denver. We weren't ready, but the first few games we were leading until the last few minutes. We were leading.
Yes,
I just didn't like that first quarter against the Lakers because everyone knew they were going to throw a haymaker.
Yeah,
got to respond better.
Very true. Have fun watching game number 3 tomorrow night. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. That is the voice of Craig Kilborn, Minnesota's own. Speaking of the local angle, we might have some cleaning up to do when we come back. We'll get caught up, and don't forget Ben Lieber on his way to the draft. Vikings. Well, not on the clock quite yet, but still will be selecting, we think, unless they move down again.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
In round
The Fan.
Try to circle back to our discussion regarding Stanislaus Kostka, the college football great who is basically the reason given for the creation back in the 1930s of the original National Football League draft. Because we got a lot of texts from people saying Minnesota is taking way, way too much credit regarding their connection to him. We went to, I think, a fairly reliable source, Wikipedia. Fairly reliable. And here's what is written about Kostka in Wikipedia. Played college football with something called the Oregon Webfoots for a season. Now, is that not the University of Oregon? Was that like I don't know. They're listed as the Oregon Webfoots. Then he transfers.
That's the original name of Oregon.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Until the mid-'60s, they changed it to the Ducks.
To the Ducks, okay. Then he transfers to the University of Minnesota, a member of the 1934 National Championship team.
Pretty sure Shedeur Sanders' jersey was retired by the Webfoots, by the way. But go ahead.
Probably true.
1934.
So then he plays professionally in the NFL for the Brooklyn Dodgers. One season, as I mentioned earlier, didn't go very well. 1935 was his only season. Then he served as the head football coach at North Dakota Agricultural College, now known as North Dakota State University, in 1941, and from 46 to 47. His record, not that distinguished, 8-17. Apparently, he was also the head baseball coach.
Yeah.
At North Dakota Agricultural. Record there, 5-3. He proudly served as a lieutenant commander in the United States Navy during World War II as well. So the moral of this story, if this is accurate, is we can rightly claim him, but I guess you could say, to a certain extent, North Dakota, right, could claim him as well.
Kind of. After
the fact, that's true. But
I wonder what brought him from the war to Fargo.
Fair question.
Because he was born in Inver Grove Heights. Then he was a South St. Paul high school kid.
The original story we had was he was born in South St. Paul. But the according to the Wikipedia deal, he was born in Inver Grove Heights.
And went to high school in South St. Paul.
That's close enough.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he went on to the war after the football thing, and then somehow ended up in Fargo. There's a lot of dots that would be interesting to connect. I mean, on how he got up there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a 30 for 30 there somewhere. I don't know. It's a great there may be elements to the story that we don't even know. I'm guessing there might be several other things in his over the course of his career and maybe after the football that might be rather interesting as well.
So Derek Hansen, Jack Michaels, all of our 740 The Fan Fargo friends up there.
Yeah.
Let's get to the bottom of this. I'm sure you know a couple of Koskas up there.
He died in 1997, aged 84 years old. 84 years old. So, because there were some people via the text who were trying to claim him as, no, he went to North Dakota State, not the University of Minnesota. Well, he got there, but as a coach.
Right.
But he did matriculate, apparently, here. And he would have had he wanted to stay for another year, and that's when that last year of eligibility was taken away because they said, no, we're counting your freshman year, so you're going to have to leave. Because the word is, Bierman was bitter. He wanted him for another year.
Well,
He thought he was going to get another year out of this guy. They got a national championship. He's averaging 7 yards a carry. It's like with Adrian Peterson. So big and strong, the would-be tacklers just get out of the way. They don't want to tackle this load.
So 34, 35, 36, I believe, were 3 straight titles for the Gophers. So he would have been part of that first team.
Yeah, and they obviously did okay without him because they kept...
They replaced him. They reloaded.
They must have replaced him. They must have. Yeah, he got offers from the Bears, Packers, New York Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Brooklyn Dodgers. And so, as we said, pretty much everybody was... like him.
Friend of mine, North Dakota source, says every pair of wrestling shoes I ever owned were purchased at Stan Costas.
Because somebody did text us that he had a
sporting goods
store. Right.
So he had to be huge up there.
Massive. It sounds like he was legendary.
Yeah.
So I do think it's fair to say they could argue more legendary there than here. Because, you're around the University of Minnesota all the time. You had never heard of him. I don't think I had ever heard of him.
We got a bunch of Caitlin Clarks at the U right now, not remembering those that came before.
That's it.
Unbelievable.
That's exactly it.
I'm going to have to do a deep dive. I'm sure he's got something in the M Club Hall of Fame room at the stadium. I'm sure there's something in the football building. I'm just not in those areas very often.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I need to get into those areas.
He eventually signed a $5,000 contract along with a $500 bonus with Brooklyn. Quote, that was a big deal then. I think... Like Nagurski was in the league about 3 years and making $400 or less. Most of the guys were making $50 a ball game. Now, he's not, even in the quote, maybe doesn't have that completely accurate, but it sounds like he did come into the league as highly touted as you can, and unfortunately, it just didn't turn out all that impressive. He was second-team All-American with the Gophers in 34, second team All Big Ten, which surprised me a little bit. You think he'd be first team? Who was ahead of him?
You want me to look? 1934
1934 All Big Ten team.
$50 a game, coincidentally enough, was what Pharrell Payne was getting at the U a couple of years ago, and that's why he went to Texas A&M.
Oh, that's too good.
What did 1934?
1934. Who was ahead of Stan Kostka, first team fullback, All Big Ten? Because this says he was second team All Big Ten. How does he second team if he's averaging 7 yards a carry? Doesn't even make any sense to me. Career NFL statistics, 249 yards rushing. 1 reception, 9 yards, average 4 yards a carry, and that was his only season. But obviously didn't stop him from becoming highly successful in other ventures after that in Fargo. or Greater Fargo.
So the 1934 halfback first team consensus All-American was Dixie Howell from Alabama.
All right.
We also had the All-American fullback Pug Lund.
On that team?
Yes.
So Koska was their second fullback? That's depth. That's true.
Oh, so he was a fullback.
Well, he's listed as a fullback. I don't know, that game of running back, fullback. Right. Who's to say?
Buzz Borries was a halfback for Navy that was also consensus All-American.
Okay.
So this team, the Gophers, we had Koska. I mean, they won the Natty.
Yeah,
so
right.
Koska, Pug Lund was consensus All-American. Frank Larson, an end. Must be tight end. It looks like he's catching a football here. Okay. He was consensus All-American. Bill Bevan was also consensus All-American. He was a guard for the Gophers. They had 3 consensus All-Americans. And then Koska.
Okay.
Who was second team, apparently.
That's how deep and talented, I guess, we were. How dominant.
Phil Bankston, a tackle, was also an All-American.
Went on to be, wasn't he the guy who followed Lombardi as the Packers coach, Phil Bankston?
He was.
He was the first, the guy who had to follow the legend. Didn't go very well either.
A native of Roseau.
Yeah. Phil Bankston.
We do need to spend more time on these guys. This could be a good summer project.
Wouldn't be bad, yeah. There'll be time. There'll be an abyss period for sure. All right, let's get caught up. Let's get a pause in. Don't forget, top of the hour, Ben Lieber will join us on his way to the Vikings part of the 2025 National Football League draft. And we'll also be joined by Pat Micheletti from the X to preview Game 3 Wild hosting the Vegas Golden Knights. Dan, I think you and Justin should probably pay a visit to South St. Paul's best-kept secret, the Polish National Alliance Hall. It's a bar in the basement of a house. Proud to be from South St. Paul. It's a way of life, which is on the bus benches. Also grew up in the beautiful river community of Inver Grove. That's Selby, Fairview guy. So there you have it.
I'd love all of that.
South St. Paul.
I'd love all of that.
For sure.
By the way, Koska's, somebody sent me an old school picture of the sporting goods store.
Oh.
It looks exactly like you think it should, including the fact that it's on Main Avenue at the time in Fargo.
Of course.
I don't know if it's Main Street now.
Right,
I don't know if it's University, if it's Broadway now. But it's now Main, or it was Main Avenue, which is as good as it gets. Back then, it was a smaller town, I'm sure. And
I wonder
so good.
If somewhere there, the store, I think it's closed now, right? Doesn't exist?
I think so.
But is there a plaque somewhere saying this is the man responsible for the creation of the National Football League draft? Something that today is a cultural event. I mean, you can hate that it is. You can say, well, that's absurd, but it's factual. This thing has become, obviously, over the years, much greater than any other draft. I mean, did you see? Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. But the just how fearful the other sports are. Tonight is Game 3 in what you could argue is the best first round series, the most competitive. Denver and the Clippers. TNT ain't carrying it.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Because they're afraid of the draft. That no one wants to go up against the draft, I guess. So that game, it is going to be on, but it's on NBA TV, and then it's on regional TV, I assume, in the markets that in Denver, and Los Angeles as well. But that's a hell of a game. This series, as I said, has been highly competitive, 1-1, and the rule must be we don't care how big the game is. We don't care who's involved in it. We don't care if the best player in basketball is involved in it, in Joker. And you could argue the guy who's been better than him in this series, Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
We're going to give it to NBA TV because it's the draft. We don't want to get embarrassed by the National Football League draft. If you ever needed proof of the power of the National Football League and how fearful every network is in attempting to even try to compete against the NFL on not a game day in the NFL, but draft day, that's as vivid an example, I think, as you could possibly get. Clippers, I mean, how good a series is that? It's been great through the first two games.
Yep.
One game went into OT, right? I don't think they both did, but they've been highly competitive ball games. And you got to have NBA TV, which some people do, but some people don't to watch it. There's not even a national network that's covering that game. Because it's like, what's round one of the draft? Are you insane? We're not going to go up against the National Football League draft.
TNT's also in the meat grinder, I saw, because they're not sending full broadcast crews to a couple different NHL playoff games.
Oh, yeah, we did. We talked about that without you a couple times, yes.
Yeah, I can't believe
bitter.
That. They should be.
Should be. Russo's even more bitter about it, and I guess they've done it before. Now, the comeback to it is, well, baseball did it with like the openers in Japan, apparently.
Yeah.
But again, that's Japan. That's a little further away. Even that I don't think is a good look. But do
you want the games or not?
Stanley Cup playoffs,
yes,
man.
because it's the Cup.
Exactly. You can't do that. Because and even the Japan comparison, much further, and it's regular season opener compared to, as you say, the Cup. This is the time. This is supposed to be the time when you're all in and you're completely committed. It's just a bad look.
Yeah, do you want the games or not?
It's not a good look at all. Yeah, to me, that's the sort of thing that you have to negotiate against on the front end, or that if you have enough power, you think you could just decree. Well, you can't decree it, I guess, if you're running the NHL, but you'd have enough power that you would convince the network powers that be that you can't. It's just that's not what we signed up for. That's not a good representation of what we're looking at all. So
I do appreciate, though, whether it's the late puck drops or like the sporadic nature of pregame shows or another game bleeding into the window so you can't even watch the game. The local guys really get to peacock. Like LaPanta and Gorg have been all over people.
Yes.
The first couple of games. Like, we started right at puck drop on FanDuel. Come on over and join us on FanDuel. They're just locked in on it, which I like.
How short is the pregame show tonight, by the way?
It's basically 15 minutes.
What is that about?
I mean, they're going to start it at 8. The puck drops about 8:20. And we couldn't even carry it because we're doing the draft.
So we have it on News Talk AM 1130, correct?
We have the first hour of the draft, 7 to 8, on the fan. And then it flips over to News Talk AM 1130 and 103.5 FM, as well as anywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Great time to set up a preset. So draft for an hour, then that switches over to the AM side in the app, and we will pick up Wild coverage at 8 o'clock
So
tonight.
how apprehensive is the crowd going to be tonight, do you think?
The Wild crowd?
Yeah, I think they're going to be apprehensive.
I think they're going to be
ready to go
at the beginning.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And then, the Wild have to start well, just like the Wolves do tomorrow. I think the Wolves still have to start better than the Wild. Because you mentioned it. It was a great way to open the show tonight. I've been thinking about it all weekend with the Wolves. You can't just go, well, we got home court.
Yeah. You got to play. You got to play like
because you still have to win your home games for that to matter. And the last 2 playoff series that they've played, obviously Phoenix was its own thing. They just ran them out of the gym wherever it was. But they lost multiple games against Denver. They lost 2 very winnable games against the Mavs, and then got their doors blown off in Game 5, if you'll recall.
That's true.
The final game, where the whole buildup was, let's just steal this one and go back to Dallas and see what happens. Well, Luka had like 60 in the first quarter, and it was over.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
It was
unpleasant.
Death. Yeah.
It was unpleasant.
So, and the Timberwolves crowd remembers that. So, yeah, the pressure's right back on the Minnesota teams now. Let's see how they handle it.
I got a text from Thinking Ankow. I think she left out a key word, but I believe she's telling us that Barkley complained over and over to his higher-ups that the Denver game is on NBA TV and not TNT. Chuck went crazy. Oh, yeah, Chuck. So he obviously means Barkley, which
Good
is
for him.
Classic Barkley.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. And again, they're not going to fire him. So what are they going to do to him? But it is curious to me that you'd like to think the NBA would have enough arrogance to say, well, so what if maybe we will get killed. We still should put it on, especially once you see what kind of series it is. I mean, it is, as I said, it might well be start to finish the most competitive first-round series that we're going to have. Might be the best series we're going to have. It's an outstanding matchup. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, we have more interest in the Wolves and Lakers here, but I've been fascinated by both those teams. And, the Denver story is the obvious. Do they still have enough left? They made this coaching change left. They don't guard anybody most of the time. But do they have enough pedigree in their top 2 that they can be carried along for a while? And then in the case of the Clippers, can they finally break through when they have a really good team and Kawhi is playing like it's 5 years ago? And so far hasn't missed a game, which is another big issue because a lot of years he starts fine and then he's got to sit for 2.5 games. So far he's played in every game. And by the way, speaking of large hands, I am reminded about just how big Kawhi Leonard's hands are.
He's got mitts.
Much big. I think his mitts are twice as big as Ant's mitts.
Yeah.
Because Ant has some problems finishing at the rim, and
ball handling.
We've come up with every theory, and it may well be it's just hand size.
What do you think of the Kawhi Leonard attempt to change the narrative around him because of all the injuries and everybody always wondering, is he going to be available? Is he not? I think I saw him say earlier in the week to somebody, you can say that about me if you want. He goes, but I keep coming back. Like a lot of people might have just said, it's over. Yeah. He goes, I'm putting my work in. And a couple of us former teammates been talking about that this week too. It's like, yeah, he was out a lot, but it wasn't because he didn't want to play. Yeah. He got injured. It sucks. And every time he came back, he was ready to go, which is the sign of a pro.
No, he is rewriting it because I think, and that's what makes this a good story eventually, is if he can stay on the court, he's going to be doing something that a lot of people gave up on. Everybody who was given up on him respected him as a player, said this is an all-time great player. He's unbelievable. But I think no one was going to really believe that he could make another regular recovery until he did it, because all the signs were, no, it's at this late date. Are you kidding me? Suddenly he's going to be able to play like he did almost when he was in his prime. Speaking of in his prime, Ben Lieber is always in his prime when it comes to analyzing and commentating on your favorite football team. He will be participating in the KFAN draft coverage as per usual. We'll catch up with him, get his thoughts, and then, as I mentioned, prepare for Pat Micheletti from the X at about 5:45.